again, for girls and that are trying to understand what they can do in the future, my advice is like, you can do it all. You can be anything you want to be. But second, find your strengths and play them. Because in any single industry, that strengths are valuable. And I was saying, sometimes you can be in a men's world where they are all super technical and you are this creative, free spirit that just like to dance and sing. That's okay. And that's brilliant. They need you. So I think like that's kind of the thing. We don't need copies.
Cristina, welcome. I'm really excited to have you here. And for everybody to get to know you, if you don't mind, would you like to state your name and your title, what you do?
Of course. Thanks for having me first. And it's a pleasure to be here. So my real name is Cristina González Pitarch. My artistic name is Cristina Pitarch, as I like to say. And right now, my role, I'm the managing director for security, Google Cloud in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. It's long, but it is the way it is.
That is really long.
Yes,
yeah.
It's very long. But it's just like, I have to say it all so nobody gets offended.
Your business card is like this big then, right? Something like that, yeah.
I don't have a business card.
I know, I could imagine,
anymore,
yeah.
You know?
But for everybody who's listening, to get to know you a little bit better, I would love if you could tell us a little bit about your journey, how it started and everything. And if just from there, we'll jump in with some questions.
Okay. So, let's see the journey. So to start from the very, very beginning, I am from a middle-sized town, I would say, smallish, called Aranjuez. It's beautiful, actually.
A lot of history.
Yes, a lot of history, very nice town. Grew up being totally savage, running on the fields, swimming on the river, playing any type of sport that you can imagine. And kind of like, I think I'm telling you this why, because that made me a very active, energetic, and I think also competitive person. So my mom always said that I was getting angry at anything I would lose, anything, like she's like impossible to manage you, because the moment that anything, like even who drinks a Coca-Cola first, I will take everything as a competition and everything will become something for me, like I need to win. I was quite a professional swimmer, and I won some Spanish championships, and I had I think for a while I even have a European record. Not anymore. I think under 13.
So that competitiveness within you kind of paid off in that aspect as well. Okay, interesting.
Again, kind of coming from how that direct to my career, and in school it was the same. So I was not I was not the best student in the time, or putting the time, but I always wanted to win. So even my behavior was not the best at class. I think I got kicked off of school a couple of times. I actually had really, really good marks. And I wanted to kind of my ambition was always being, the best in school, the best at things. So,
I could imagine the conversation with your teachers. Come on, Cristina, you're so good, you're so talented. You need to focus and
Yeah, or Cristina, get to the end of the class and be quiet because everybody else in the class needs to do something. And I would be correcting the teachers or what you're saying is wrong, and they were getting me out, Cristina, please don't do this anymore. It's no good. So yeah, I went to university. I studied law and business in a university in Madrid called ICADE, which in Spain is very prestigious university, and I went there just because of that. It's not that I really wanted to be a lawyer. Actually, my father said, "Don't ever be a lawyer because everybody hates lawyers," and I did.
And what did the daughter do?
Yeah, exactly. So, but it was because somebody told me only the best of the people goes into that university, and that got me a focus of I'm gonna get there. So I think I finished as well really quick because I wanted to. I want to be the first one in finishing this major, and I started in working really early. I think I was 21 or something when I was already finished. I worked for a while in finance in a bank called La Caixa, which at that time in Spain, again, was something that they were hiring very junior people, and it was incredibly difficult to get in. I remember it's probably the interview process that has been tougher in my whole career.
More than Google?
Yeah, more than Google. Okay. I think they had 6 different personal interviews, a group interview, some type of test where they put us like 20 people in a room and we had to find different things and behave in different ways, and they will be observing everything you will do.
You must have loved that.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Yeah, exactly.
I loved it, and I met a lot of great people, and it was super interesting. And then again, I got the job to basically be a cashier. So it was just like, after all these tests, what I have to do was, here, your €100, here, your thing. So it did felt like this was not what I wanted to do. Like, my aspirations could be like, oh, maybe next month I do a mortgage. And that was super exciting. So, yeah.
And that was not on the horizon at that point?
No.
How long time were you there?
Like around 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, it was a very good experience in terms of like, I was very young, I had a job, and like none of my friends had a job at that moment. I had the money every month, and it was from 8 to 3, so I had time to do a lot of things.
And obviously from Aranjuez, I mean, I could imagine, like, I was basically upbringing here, right? This is a place where I've grown up. To work in a bank, I mean, that was a cool thing, right? I mean, it's like a really cool thing here to do. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was really cool, and again, I was very young, and I was finishing early, and I was living a great life. But obviously, I realized that was not what I wanted to do, and like, even though, like, I remember having a conversation with my boss at the time, and I told him something like that, like, do you think I'm happy here? This is not exactly what I've been looking forward to, and I decided to leave everything against the advice of everybody else, as you can imagine, and I went to US to do an MBA.
Okay.
While, as I said, you live in a job in La Caixa, which is the dream of everybody in Spain, like a secure job from 8 to 3. Like, yes, I did. So I saved some money to pay for my studies. I started to learn English because my English was horrendous. And I need
And what age are we talking here? 23, 20?
23.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I needed to do the TOEFL. I needed to do like all the SATs and everything to get into a US university, and I had no English whatsoever. So I at home myself with like YouTube videos and trying to get like enough English to pass the exams.
That was the objective.
That was the objective, yes, which I did. And well, I got admitted in Berkeley, which is also kind of like a prestigious MBA. And I went there, and I remember the first time I went into the student hall, somebody opened the door, spoke to me, and I understood nothing. It's like,
I wondered how you felt in that moment. It was like, okay, I paid for the MBA. I'm here. The first conversation I have, I realized like I'm not ready for this.
No, like totally not ready for this at all. Like, and I called my mom. I was like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do this. And also my luggage was lost. Like, I was sleeping like in a mattress on the floor. I had no money. Like, everything was not what I dreamt. But I stayed. And I found a way to pass all the MBA exams, like trying to be tricky. Like, written English was good. Mm-hmm. Spoken English was not good at all. But as I said, I've always been a bit cheeky in that way. So kind of like I convinced my group of people that were working together I do the presentation. So let me just do the presentation. So I practice my English, I learn it by memory, and I act. And then you guys prepare all the documentation. You just give me what I have to say. And I just say it.
But wait, so you were the one that probably felt within the group that had the lowest level of English, and you were fighting for everybody allowing you to do the presentation in front of the class and to all the teachers.
It was the only way I had to get better.
Okay.
I had like kind of like force myself to not be hidden on the back row and not talk in like 2 years, but like make sure that I actually was talking. And I was getting, and I like the first presentation was like a marketing one, was horrendous. And even though I tried to talk about Chilean wine, just because it was an absolutely disaster. And I think like my group was pretty angry. Like, why did you have to present? It's like, yeah, I know, but let me do it again. So I kept on doing. Like I was the presenter in every single project that we did.
And you still always had the same group, or the group was changing?
No,
normally?
always the same group. Like
Always the same group.
You keep the same group.
And they still allowed you to do the next one?
They kept the faith.
That probably takes a little bit of convincing from your side, I could imagine.
That's the lawyer instinct. You know? You have to kind of like get them to. But yeah, I mean, at the end, it paid. I think like my English got to a point that I actually could, and I had like good marks on them because I think also the teachers were like, this woman is absolutely crazy. Like she's here always on the stage when like everybody else is hiding. And I wanted to, at that time is when like technology was blowing in like Silicon Valley. I wanted to stay, but there was some like, I mean, I had some things with people getting sick and realizing that we were so far. And it's like, if something happened to anybody on my family, I won't arrive on time. And I think like that made me think, I just don't want to live in US. Yes, it's amazing, this whole technology thing, I'm loving it, but I have to go back. And I came back here, and then I started applying to these technology companies. And the first one that hired me was Salesforce, which was very, very initial point. And I moved to Dublin to just work for Salesforce.
For Salesforce.
And that was an incredible experience. Like Salesforce is such a company. As a beginner, I will always recommend, if you want to know what is selling, if you want to learn how to do go-to-market, just start in Salesforce. It's extremely tough. They always have you on your toes, but you learn in a way like I don't think I have ever been a better employee than I was in Salesforce, in any sense.
I could imagine it must be incredibly structured as well, right?
Exactly. So you learn the structure, you learn the dashboard, you learn how to move with data, you learn how to deal with customers, you learn to find your way, to get independent, to kind of like own your results. Like it's not, you can't blame anybody else. It's you or you. Like and at the same time, it's also a company that is good fun. Like because everybody's suffering. So
exactly, we're all sharing the pain.
Sharing the pain, so you just have to go and have a drink after the office. So it was a great, yeah.
And in Dublin, that's quite easy to do, isn't it? Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah. So obviously, when you came back from the States, you went back to Aranjuez, I take it. Yeah. Okay. You started applying for these tech companies. Started with Salesforce, and then obviously you went to Dublin.
Yeah.
How? So you've been in the States, at home, and Dublin. How did Dublin feel?
Well, the same thing. I went to Dublin. I to start a job on a Monday without a house, without thinking that it was going to be much easier. That actually it was. Dublin was dark, cold. I didn't know that Dublin has such a bad weather. Like I had no idea because I spent some time in London, and London is pretty okay. Dublin is much worse. So yeah, it was a bit of and the first summer I was in Ireland. Rain straight from June to September. And everybody was saying like, oh, this doesn't happen that often, but it did happen that summer. It's famous for like the worst summer. So that was my first summer there.
Okay. People from Sevilla have got this tiene la fama, like they're known for enjoying their terraces, sitting outside, having their beer, and probably in Andalusia, probably the people will enjoy it the most. I mean, at least that's a rumor on the street. So, from June to September, how did that work when it was raining nonstop?
So tough. And as you said, probably the thing I have missed the most in Ireland are the terraces. Like that, because not even when there's good weather, you can't find one. And we were like, my husband and I like crazy. Every time that is sunny, I was like, oh, let's find a terrace. I really want to sit down in a terrace. Well, there's no terraces. So even in Sweden, there are more terraces than in Ireland. Like, this is something that I just like, a big petition. Please, Ireland, put more terraces on the streets. Like,
maybe there's a business there. Maybe there's exactly.
I do think so.
Exactly,
It's like Irish people are like, love to enjoy life and love to like hang out together. But
probably more than the Swedes in that aspect as well. So
inside, just get it outside, put a couple of blankets, one of these things to get it heated. Amazing. This-
So obviously you were still at Salesforce. Next.
So next was Google, and Google came for me.
Okay.
I was not, again, I was very happy in Salesforce, and I got promoted, I think 3 times in 1 year and a half.
Okay.
And
Like La Caixa, right?
something different because, Salesforce was the learning of how working hard you can get to any point you want it, and that way I adore Salesforce because they had it very clear what was your next step and what it takes to get to that next step. So, for example, for me, I started as a BDR, which is like business development representative, basically cold calling. That was my job. Cold calling and get leads and everything. And as you said, as I was saying, I'm super competitive. So I went, this is probably the best thing you can put me in.
Come on, that's the best environment for you
Yes.
ever. Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think in 5 months I had broken every single record they had, and obviously they had to promote me because they didn't have anything else to do. Again, they promote me a couple of times. I remember having an interview with my manager saying, "What do you want to do next?" And I said, "I want your job." And, and then,
Most popular employee for her, ever. Yeah, okay.
yeah, well, she understood.
Yeah, of course.
And then when she left, they let me interview for her job, and I actually got it. So it kind of again, it was an environment that let me just focus on going next. So as I was not interested in leaving it, I still have all my friends from that area at that time are still in Salesforce.
Okay.
So it does say a lot about that group that we had. And Google came.
Okay.
And
but you had been in Salesforce for what, a year, you said? Or
no, Salesforce, 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably in total 2 years between one thing and the other. And then, I was a manager in Salesforce, so they gave me a team. It was the first time I was managing a team. We called ourselves the Continental Lions, which was kind of like a very interesting name.
How big was the team?
Around 22, 23 people.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was, again, really good fun. We have a really cohesive team, people from all over Europe, and we did a lot of interesting things because everybody was so motivated.
Despite the weather.
Despite the weather.
No terraces.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And I moved to. So Google came. It took a while to convince me. I was not. I didn't want to leave, but they made me an offer I couldn't reject, and also it was Google, which kind of
Yeah, can't really go much higher, can you?
Yeah,
Within the corporates, but yeah.
But in that sense, in Dublin, you see the office. They tell you what they do, and they tell you the possibilities, and you start saying, maybe I need to try. And I tried, and it was interesting because I interviewed for a manager position on a sales team, and they gave me a manager positions, but on a technical support team. The reason was...
me personally, just knowing you for what I know you now, I would never take you out of the sales team, but okay, interesting approach, okay.
Yeah, I interviewed for sales. They lost the headcount on sales.
Okay.
And then one of the people that interviewed me was the head of support. And he said, let's get this girl. Doesn't matter where, I take her because I think she can do this. So I went to do support. As a very salesperson in Google, which is such an engineering company, with people that has nothing to do with me. And I always said that even the fact that I was wearing heels every morning and I was walking in with click, 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 and all the engineers were like, what is she doing? It's I also had I said I was kind of all happy telling, oh, guys, I'm coming from my Continental Lions where everybody was so excited. And it's guys, let's put a name to the team. And I received an answer from another Dutch guy that said, bullshit. That was his answer. I was like, okay.
Okay, yeah, we're not going to use that as a name, just so you know, but
let's just, let's keep the enthusiasm here for a while.
How do you feel in that moment? Because obviously one of the things that you mostly appreciated at Salesforce was precisely the team spirit that you had created.
Yeah.
Now you come to a new team, and obviously now you're with a lot of technicians and engineers and so forth. How did that feel?
It was difficult because I come from in Salesforce being the star, the person that has broken every record, and had to here being a manager on a team that everybody knows much more than me. And I was not technical at all. I had no idea about data. I have no idea about programming. And my manager realized, and he told me, you have 1 week to learn everything. Is that okay? I'm going to test you in 1 week and see what can you learn. And the pressure was there, because I thought, oh, maybe they're going to fire me, or maybe he's going to move me somewhere else, because obviously I can't add much value. That was my problem. What value can I add in this team? So yeah, I took 1 week. I learned as much as I could, and I told him very clearly, I will never be a good Java programmer, never. Even if I want to learn everything, I'm just gonna be as much like mediocre. But I am a really good salesperson, and I'm a really good customer person. Let's give me that, give me that part where I can actually add a lot of value on a team that you guys are not focused on that. You're not focused on customer care. You're not focused on making customers better. You're just focusing on making tools that are amazing and look amazing, but you're not even thinking about how a customer is going to look at that.
How's the customer is going to perceive it?
Yes.
Once he has an issue, how we react to it and so forth. Okay.
So I was like, okay, let's change the mentality of this team and let me do this. Let me just put a high quota or high target in customer satisfaction.
Okay.
Like they were kind of around the 80s. They didn't care about it. And I told my boss, if we hit 95%, we go to Dominican Republic. And we created this project. It was like Dominican Republic. I bought a bong. So every time that the CSAT was coming up, I was like hitting the bong. Bong! So you can imagine like engineers doing this. Like,
that was going to be my next question. Like, how did the engineers, one of them replying the name of the group, bullshit. How did they react to the Dominican Republic project?
So at the beginning, a lot of like weird faces, but at the end, I think everybody went into it. Like we were putting like posters of Dominican Republic in the office to bring in the music. I was like playing like suddenly like Cuban music, so everybody will dance. So they came into it, and we were like the CSAT was going high.
Okay.
So that was another thing that.
Sorry, how large was it, that team of engineers and so forth?
How big?
Yeah, how many people?
Yeah, I think like around 80 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's and like nobody in Google cared about support. Yeah. Nobody. Like the sales team didn't care about it. The leadership didn't care about it. We needed to sell ourselves as well to get headcount.
Internally.
Yeah. So that was the best way they have to sell it. It's like, look, we're the only team in Google that had reached 90s on customer satisfaction. Nobody else. With like giving the perfect support to our customers.
So you found your own metrics for it.
There you go.
Well done. Okay.
So again, like I think like we changed the way that team was working. Obviously, there's still very engineering focused team on like improving the tools, but now that has a sense of like why are we doing this, and how like so I think like again I did got promoted a couple of times because and I did use that strengths I have. I never learned how to program Java. Never.
Did you see that what you had created, like, I don't know, what the metrics were about the customer satisfaction, NPS or whatever it was, did you see that then evolving into other departments or things like that? Or all of a sudden management would take that into account? You saw that impact afterwards?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Actually, we were the only ones in Google that cared, and this started to coming up because that was one of the things that majority of the customers says about Google. It was our competitive disadvantage with companies like Microsoft. It's like Google doesn't care. And it's true. Like they didn't care. They were trying to build the best product, but nobody was trying to get the best experience. And I think like that was a shift in the whole company. That like, very early days, like Google Cloud, it was very small. Very early days, Google Cloud shift to think about customers. And to think like, okay, there's no way that we are going to win against any competitor if we're not giving the best support. So it started there. Yeah.
At what moment did you see that you didn't actually have that impact? Where you saw that they were adopting it in other places, or was it some direct feedback? At what moment was it actually clicked and it's like, hey, I made this happen?
Yeah, when leadership started actually asking us, how are you doing this? Like when other teams were coming to us, and we even went a bit further, which is like, how can we use this to sell more? Like, how can we actually, from support, bring leads to the sales team?
Yeah, because normally it's always on the other direction, right? Sales, my job is done. They got the product. Then it's sales support. Product support, and then you manage to throw it back.
But it's a missed opportunity if you think about it, because when support talks to a customer even more than sales, and they know what they need, and they know if you actually train your support agents into being able to kind of like offer new, even have objectives and like kind of offer different products that could add, you're actually adding probably a 20-30% uplift on your sales. And it's not something people usually think about.
And it's native there already. I mean, the need is there. It's
and
just
they're calling you.
Exactly.
You know, how many times you say, no, nobody, like the best leads are the ones that call you. Well, you do have them on support, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I think like that, we managed to create a new type of projects to do that, to kind of, how can we uplift our profit numbers coming with leads from support? And yeah, that went, I would say viral, but
Yeah, exactly.
inside the company.
But back in those days, that
yes.
concept wasn't there. So yeah, what year are we talking, more or less? Or
Yeah, I think like 2012, 13, 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously you started there in the tech support team. What was the next steps?
So they brought me back to sales. I think like, yeah, the cat was getting out, you know.
Exactly.
So I remember the recruiter that hired me into Google. He told me, look, Cristina, if you want to make career in Google, you do need to understand our basic product. You need to understand advertising. This is where Google makes the money. Like, cloud was not important at that point. It was small. So come to ads, learn about it, and take a sales job. And I thought it was a kind of sound advice. So I went to the sales side, and I was leading a team like selling advertising. Did that for like another 2 years. I keep my career with 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. It seems to be your time frame, right?
Yes.
2 years. But how big was the team in this moment, more or less?
So my team under me was around 50 people.
Okay.
I was managing South, like Spain, Italy, France, within Europe. So there were like, 50 people. Again, did very well, but did not make me happy.
What was missing?
Advertising is boring. Just like, and the Google advertising business is even more boring because you don't really sell. You say no more than yes. And it's kind of like you only take care of the people that spends a lot of money. And it was not very challenging. It's not something, and yeah, I always said, I have seen the most complicated products in the world. Understanding how AdWords works is just absolutely impossible. Like the dashboards, it's you like, oh no, this, I thought, I was not.
It was not your thing, definitely not your thing.
Clearly not something that I got motivated in. And again, I got pulled back into cloud.
It's funny because, I mean, there are many, some people believe that salespeople are good in selling per se. I always believe that the basis of it, especially when it comes to my personal experience, is that you need to know your product.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives you certain confidence. It gives you, so obviously in this case, we can see that maybe it's actually a real case scenario of precisely what I'm saying, is that if you don't feel comfortable with your product or, the process that it represents, it's not going to work.
Or even the conversations you're having, if it's not something you're passionate about, like you need to be you need to like what you're talking about. And selling, like, you're not selling. For me, it's not that. You are having conversations, you're advising, you're trying to do the best with somebody that actually has a need that you're fulfilling.
You listen a lot,
And if that doesn't, it is not something I want to do. Like, So again, I'm not motivated about you spending 100 euros in Facebook and 110 in Google, and you have a budget of 300. And yes, you have 3 companies that you can divide your budget in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you were pulled into Google Cloud again. Okay, how did that feel?
So Google Cloud now started to grow.
Okay.
Like after, I don't know, 5 years of nobody putting any attention to Google Cloud, suddenly somebody realized that, oh, look at AWS. They're making a lot of money with this cloud thing. And we have the same. Oh, no, actually, we invented it. So what happened here? Let's put some resources, and then they started putting resources into Google Cloud.
One of those resources?
It was
yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So they pulled me back, happily went. And,
yes, please.
Yeah, like, oh, yes, back to cloud. And
yet you still had your Dominican Republic team? Some other people had followed you?
They're still there, yeah. Like, I mean, like, I didn't take any of them to the advertising side because they were technical people. Yeah. They don't want to do sales. But I did took some of the advertising people back into cloud. Like, so a lot of people follow me. And we went back, we were building another thing again from scratch because it was new. And suddenly, you need to have teams of like 200 people in sales and hire as fast as possible. We need I remember how difficult it was for us to find somebody in Turkey. We hired a super good guy, and then we didn't get the visa approved, and the pressure of hiring. So that full year was hiring. We were hiring like, I don't know.
What percentage of your time was dedicated to recruiting new people? And at that stage, you think, was it
more than 50%? Yeah. Interviewing, and looking at CVs, and like, again, it was because we had to go super fast, and the team was 0 and have to be. I remember. If I started, let's say, in January, they told us by March you need to have 60 people. And, in Europe, people don't join immediately. They have certain times that they need. So even if you
got notice periods, yes. You got your own analysis and yeah.
So it went absolutely crazy into hiring people. And you also need to keep the quality, because the moment that you hire somebody that doesn't have the quality, you have a problem. So we have to be careful, but quick. Very exciting.
Especially when you recruit fast.
Yes.
I mean, you do fill, some of them drop, and then you just make sure that the right ones drop, right? I mean, it's a big part of it. So how did it go? How did the Google Cloud go from there at that moment?
I mean, it went incredible because, again, the business obviously was very low, so we could only grow. I'm not going to say it's the magic of Cristina, but it is true that the growth was super fast and everybody was getting promoted and moving new teams. The movement was, it was a very active type of org. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of traveling, a lot of doing new things, like in countries that we had 0 presence. So we have to open Romania, we have to open Greece, we have to open Turkey. With like a lot of these things that were going so fast. So loved it. And then goes to the last step, and it seems like I've been 3 hours talking about my life.
I love it.
So then, again, just by chance, one day I was in the office, and somebody called me and said, like, look, Cristina, the more senior person in the office that day was on holidays, which was my manager, and said, Gareth is on holidays. Would you mind walking around this guy that just came from US? He comes to visit. I said, sure. And I went and I met a guy called Stephen Gillette, which at that point was in Google Alphabet, and he was the CEO of a company called Chronicle that were doing security.
Okay.
I walked him around the office in Dublin. He told me all like, look, we are creating this new security thing. Nobody else in the world is doing it. We are doing a revolution in the security industry. This is incredible. This is 15 people in Google X hidden in a room in Sunnyvale in San Francisco. And I was like, wow, this sounds amazing. But
exactly, really cool.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. And I saw him in the office. He asked me a couple of questions about how it would be to expand into Europe, regulation, laws, and everything. I told him what I knew. And And he said, "Will you recommend Dublin, any other city?" And we did talk. And then he at the end, when he left, he said, "Oh, can I write you if I have questions about Europe?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." And it's like, "Yeah, I want to expand in Europe, and I need a new leader, and I want that leader to be you." So
Was that during the same conversation?
like 3 hours, I think, of conversation.
Okay.
Like after the 3 hours, he decided that I had to be the leader in Europe.
Okay.
Um,
That puts you in a situation.
in a situation.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Again, at first I had to do a bit of research because I don't know if what he was telling me was true or what is it. But it was true, actually. They launched a product, they launched something that was inexistent in the market. The whole market went absolutely crazy about like, if this actually works, you are going to make such a difference on the security market. So security market was very fragmented. It has many different pieces. If you want to secure your company, you need to buy 15 different providers. And what Google wanted, it was to put into the market what Google was using internally.
Okay.
Like, we have the best secure in the world. We have 7 billion people. Actually, we keep 7 billion people secure. We know how to do this. Just let's put it into the market so all the companies can do what we do. And they presented in the bigger conference of security. And as I said, it won absolutely mental. So I had my
dilemma.
Dilemma. Like, I'm doing great. This team is going very well. Everybody in cloud, they really kind of like value me. And I'm going to join this crazy thing.
Well, it did seem to resonate with the future, maybe, that's going to be needed, but it's a complete different beast, right? I mean, it's like you going back to the AdWords part, like, I need to learn this from scratch.
Exactly, and I had no idea about security either. I don't know about security technology. I was a cloud expert, and but we had the conference, the annual conference that we do in Google Cloud in Las Vegas that year, like maybe a month after this conversation. I went there with my team, and then this guy and the CRO flew with the contract in their hand to meet me and convince me that I should join. And
okay, you can't say that he wasn't pushing hard to manage. So, like, okay,
which it kind of felt like, okay, like this says, you feel that, oh, if you really want me so badly, maybe it's a place where I can actually grow and everything. Like,
obviously, he saw something in you that would make sense, yeah. So
and that gesture actually made me think about it more seriously. Like, until there, I was like, yeah, whatever. But then I thought, like, these are people that really want something and they're going for it and they take it very seriously and they want to. And so, after a month, I said yes and I joined them.
Okay. How was the process of leaving and joining the new part?
So, it was, again, quite tough. So I joined and I was the general manager. That was the title. General manager, it was me. I had no team. I was alone. And the first thing I arrived, they're like, oh, there's 140 support cases of customers. You want to take them? And I was coming from like managing a big team, having like,
sure.
Okay. They're like, we need to create the contracts for Europe. We don't know how to do it. You want to do them? There's this, I remember, like, there's this press conference. Can you go?
Wait, was this the first month that you were there?
The first 2 days, I think. Like, and there's another one. There's a demo with Veolia. I remember that. There's a demo of the product to do with Veolia. Can you do it? I was like, and I did it all. I did the 140 cases.
Flashbacks from your presentations back in Berkeley when it's like, hey, I want to present. Exactly.
Let's do it. And I remember that demo with this Veolia. And I told them, like, this is the first thing I'm doing this. Don't take it like, I'm going to try my best, but if something doesn't work, actually, they were our first customer. So I keep on saying to everybody that joins the team, remember?
You had 100% closing ratio there already. Not bad.
It's kind of like the limit for all the sales engineers that we have right now are super expert. I did it first. So yes, good thing about this is that I got to learn the product. And as you said, when you know something, you're a much better manager and you're a much better salesperson as well. So I learned the product. I got through in the most ridiculous situations that you can imagine with very technical people talking about things I had no clue. And I had to learn it because there was no other person. After 2 months, they let me hire another 2 people. After 3 months, and then to the point.
So you were completely alone.
Alone. Totally alone in Europe, and then, but it was such experience because and this is not something you get to do in Google. So that's kind of, I got to decide who I want to hire, which markets I'm going to go, how I'm going to prioritize. Like it's a startup, it was a startup with the backup of Google, which I think there's not more ideal situation than that. Like when you get to do everything knowing that there's no falling out, you know.
And let's not forget, you knew Google as well.
I knew.
So it's like, so you're backed up by, but you know the backup as well. Yeah.
And something I know very well. I know very well what they want. I know very well what they don't want.
Yeah.
It's kind of like your biggest sponsor. Like actually, you know them.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we had a blast. That's been my life for the last 5 years. Is we're growing at more than 500% year on year. So the team multiplying at that type of rhythm. I don't do demos anymore, but I
Do you miss them?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Like I mean, it is a kind of some certain things that you're like you feel that you're so useful. But what I think is the best. First, I got to love security because it's something that you're helping. And I remember when COVID. We were called by, I remember this call very well, for example, a hospital in Paris that actually got hacked and all the systems were down and they had people dying and they couldn't attend that because everything was down on the hospital. And
Wow.
in the worst moment of the humanity, the hackers went absolutely mental. And they started hacking like hospitals, like governments, things that were so necessary. And at that point, we felt as we're like helping, we're doing an impact, we're doing something on the world, we're creating, and it still feels the same. Every time that the company gets attacked and we come in and you manage to get them out and you manage to solve it soon, it's just like,
That's a really Cristina moment, right?
Yes.
I mean, I could imagine like, team, we did it.
Yeah, we did it. Like
how big was your team when, for instance, these in COVID and during that?
During COVID, maybe we were in Europe 20 people.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
So you solved these situations with a team of 20 people.
Yeah, working from home and like running from one thing to another and kind of like but yeah, it was. We gave a lot of obviously. Everything free. We didn't have any type of profitable interest on this. It was like, okay, we are doing something because we need to.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of this was done from Malaga, from like the engineer team here in Malaga. They did so much in Europe, which has been, nobody heard about it. But
that's one of the things. Obviously, me, I'm obviously born in Sweden, but I've been here most of my life, so I consider myself to be from Malaga itself. But at this time, COVID, you were already here in Spain, or
no? I was in Dublin, but the engineer team was here. We're here.
Okay.
Like it was the VirusTotal team in Malaga.
You care sharing a little bit? It's okay. We focus on that on the Cybersecurity Center in Malaga because I mean I've heard different versions of how it came to place and these kind of things. Bernardo and so forth. So if you don't mind, I would love if you could illuminate us with that.
Yeah, of course. So I mean, VirusTotal was a company that a couple of people from Malaga created. Very experts, like some of the best cybersecurity people in the world. I'm going to say they did this by themselves. They thought that there was a need in the market. They created on their free time because they were working in a hospital, doing the cybersecurity for a hospital. So Bernardo was actually the CISO of a hospital, and in his free time, he created VirusTotal.
Okay.
They were a team, I think, of 5 people. And then at one point, they realized they couldn't grow without investment. So they got an offer from some of the people, they didn't like it. So Bernardo wrote directly to Google.
Okay.
And he wrote them an email like, here, we have this. We're trying to, these companies that are trying to buy us, but we want you to buy us. And Google did. They kind of like, okay, we like it. Actually, Google internally is one of the bigger users of VirusTotal.
Okay.
So they bought it, and Bernardo and the team, they had such a negotiation position that they said, yeah, buy me, but I'm not moving from Malaga. I'm not moving my team. It's like, yeah, but we don't have any center in Malaga. Don't care. They work from a chalet on the top of the mountains. Actually, the chalet was owned by, I don't know, like Aito Garcia Reneses, who was a very famous basketball coach in Spain. And they were there doing barbecues where they were kind of like doing malware at the same time, barbecues and having a lot of fun. So that's how it started. And for a while, it was very difficult for Google to actually position these people, this group of people in Malaga, like, is it cloud? Is it here? Where do they put? So they were kind of like changing them.
And it's a different company. It's a VirusTotal, so yeah.
So they didn't know what to do with them. Like, they knew that they added which it was great for them because they were totally independent and they were doing, and which made this company actually grew so much in terms of like VirusTotal is probably the most respectful and loved security product. Whoever you ask about it, use it, and whoever you ask about it, loved it. It's just, everything in technology, you have haters and you have lovers, not VirusTotal. Well, at least that I know. If there's anybody, you can email me, I hate VirusTotal, but I haven't met anybody yet. And that was made here. And so when this new security unit in Google was created, obviously now this made sense. Yeah. Okay, let's add this VirusTotal into this security unit and let's run both together.
Was the security unit born as a consequence of the VirusTotal, or was already a plan there and it just made sense?
No, the security unit was born as a consequence of an attack that China did in Google.
Oh, okay.
So China attacked Google, and they call it Operation Aurora. It was Google and other companies, like technology companies on the Silicon Valley, and they discovered it and they realized that, oh God, we've been attacked by China. And then they take certain measurements and certain things that actually made them realize that majority of the companies would have been totally drowned without the measurements that Google, there was almost no damage because they realized it quite quick and they didn't get to go into the really deep systems where they could actually hurt the company. They kind of like left them on the entrance door. But they realized that this is going to be the norm right now. And that's why this security company was created. Once the security company was created, they say, guys, we have the best thing here in Malaga, VirusTotal, which was a different product. Like, this is what they call SIEM. VirusTotal is a different type of product, just not to get too much into details, but both of them added to each other actually gives you a very good visibility of how your company works in terms of security. So they put them both together, and there you go.
And they did it in Malaga.
Yeah.
How many of these cybersecurity centers are there globally?
Only one.
Only one?
Yeah. Only
Okay.
Malaga, yes.
Okay, interesting. Was a lot, obviously, talk in the press about the new cybersecurity in Malaga. I've obviously visited, I think, a couple of times. And one thing I did love when Paloma gave me the tour there, she's amazing, by the way, told us that, how open they are to the community. Things that they want to do there, schools and these kind of things. And that's one of the things that really resonates what we do here. Yeah. So you want to tell me a little bit about the day-to-day operation of the cybersecurity in Malaga, what it does and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think, again, we do have a responsibility, and I do feel that personally very heavily of educating, because we tend to think that cybersecurity is only for companies and only big companies can afford to have a good cybersecurity. However, what about the public? What about the people? What about the grandmothers? And now there's starting to be more publicity around what to do, what not to do. But still, I think like there's a lot of things that are not known, and with the artificial intelligence, even more. So Google has taken that very seriously. And in Malaga, central in Malaga, even more. Like educating schools, educating, like there's a lot of events of girls who code, because at the same time, we do need as an industry to have more females. And this, like, I think it's like 2% of females in the security industry. And there's a community type of service that needs to be done through Malaga. And we have school visits, if not every day, at least every week. We have events for girls that want, so they understand and they stop being scared of technology. Or like they see models, they see, okay, all these people has done technology careers and it's okay, they're having fun. There's a lot of training of public sector, which is extremely necessary as well, because they manage all our data. So there's a lot of security training done to kind of what they call COPs, like.
You must have been impressed with what you found at some point, right? As well, like within, and not necessarily in the public sector, but you must have seen a lot of situations like, oh, you really need help here.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting better.
Okay.
But I remember at the beginning when I was alone, that I visited a lot of big companies talking about security. I remember one specifically, and I'm not going to say the name, but obviously it's a big, big company. Everybody knows. And I went there and they told me, oh no, we don't have attacks. And I was like, I mean, you don't see them. Everybody has. But the fact that somebody tells you nobody
we don't have,
no, we haven't
nobody's
been
interested
attacked.
in me. Yeah, okay.
It's just such a red flag of like, oh God, you have zero visibility.
You're so naive.
Yeah. And I hope that has changed. Yeah.
What kind of recommendations could you give? Because obviously, as you mentioned before, we do have this kind of bias, or at least preconception, that only big companies can afford proper cybersecurity. What could small companies do? Like some tips that you would give them?
I mean, I think you can be very practical and doesn't have to break the bank. Look, at the end is I mean, obviously, double factor authentication is absolutely like has certain regulations in terms of like passwords and like regulate your employees. No, like have a check of like, okay, what type of passwords they're having. Are they like long words are actually much better. Don't put the name of your pet. And I mean, this is I found this very funny. I think like 2 years ago, one of these hackers organizations, they created a contest for people to put pictures of their pets.
With a name
and the people kind of like got crazy, like, oh, look at this, Toby and my pet Lolita are doing this. There's Toby, Lolita, there's your password.
Okay, it's kind of an eye opener. No, I didn't post my pet. No, don't worry, but no, okay, interesting.
But yeah, passwords, double factor authentication, training of your employees, conscious of the things. I think like opening links and like firewalls is the very simple things that you can do that you don't really need to spend much time. It's just like being cautious about it. And having a VPN when you are like working with your laptop outside of the office is also quite important. These things are not expensive.
I would like to know when Marbella came into the picture.
So Marbella came after COVID. Again, I think like COVID.
Was it the fact that there were no terraces a defining factor in Dublin?
Yes, I mean, terraces were incredible, but it was like we realized as a family that we didn't want to be in a place where once it's closed, you're trapped. Yeah. And I think like that was like the fact that some of our parents could have been extremely sick and we were not able to get out of Ireland. That was like, okay, this is not the place. We were happy there, but this can happen again. You never know, and we don't want to be in this situation again. So then we started to think about Spain. COVID gave us also the possibility of people to work remotely that before it didn't. And both my husband and I got open, like from our companies. It's like, yeah, you can move if you want. So Spain was a given, like has to be Spain. And then you go, the wife rights comes here, like that's gonna be Spain and that's it, no discussion. But then we had Barcelona, Madrid, and Malaga because of the Cybersecurity Center. I have 3 possibilities. Barcelona became a bit too difficult. Madrid and Malaga were things, but we came to visit Marbella that summer. My first time in Marbella. I've never been in Marbella before.
Are you serious?
Yeah, totally serious.
Okay.
Yeah, but
A girl from Aranjuez who's never been in Marbella. Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
It's kind of weird, but it's just like, so we came, we went to visit schools, we saw the thing, we had certain things we wanted to, like minimum things, like wanted our kids to grow in an international environment, because that change to a fully Spanish thing was going to be too much of a shock for them. We wanted like a British school, or like, because again, the Spanish system is very different. Not better or worse, but it's just different. And then you see the sun, the beach. And this is kind of like where I live in Madrid. I always thought like, how lucky is the people that live on the beach? And now I had the chance and I'm gonna go to Madrid. It's just like at one point I had like that type of thinking on my head, like where do I wanna? I was like, and it was like no brainer. Let's go to Malaga.
And you're not one of those people who always dream is like, oh no, I need to have a house with sea views, and then all of a sudden it ends up that you never go to the sea. The sea is actually part of your daily routine, right? It's something that you do.
Yeah, I do, and I love swimming on the sea. I love the feeling of the sea is part of my every single day. I go for a walk every day, and I think that's my luxury. That's luxury for me, much more than any bags or that possibility I have at the beginning of the day to go for a walk on the sand with the sea on the side. And you see, there's a point before Puente Romano.
Mm-hmm.
There's a point like where you are just basically walking on the sea, and the sea is totally transparent, and you see the stones. And every single day I would love to jump from that.
That's your spot. That's your spot.
But every time I go with somebody that is not from Marbella, I stop there, and I don't know if the people see what I see. It's just that point there, which is amazing. Like, this is so beautiful. This is so, the water looks so inviting. The sun is my favorite thing. Yeah.
What else do you think that now that you've been here for a while?
Yeah.
How do you feel it? Do you think that Marbella is going to be a place from now onwards? You see yourself as some things that are lacking, some things that are great. How would you position Marbella in that aspect?
I mean, I love Marbella for me. I would love to stay here forever. I do think for teenagers, there's a problem. And in Dublin, for example, they do, somebody should start doing this here. They do this kind of like non-alcohol type of parties, dance, where kids can go since they are like 12, 13, have one day of dance, meet other kids and everything. I don't think that teenagers here have that possibility of a healthy way to mix with each other and get to know. Like, I don't think that it gets me a bit sad because I did have that on my town when I grew up. I don't think Marbella has it. I think Marbella needs a space, needs themes, needs like more cultural, more for that kids to develop and to meet each other and not being on the phone all day. While when they are kids, it's fantastic. When they are like little kids, I think Marbella is great. It hits a point where, I heard the stories, maybe you know, of like before they like teenagers had more places to go, and now, I think that's the same. I hope somebody can take some action.
Well, we could include it in one of the vision of Marbella 2.0. I mean, let's be honest, when we started the Marbella 2.0 movement, there were several things that basically through surveys to talking to people, we realized that, okay, we need to work on certain things. And when it comes to Marbella, one of them was the meeting point for entrepreneurs and so forth. So obviously that's what we have built here. But then the two other elements that were strongly always highlighted was one of them, lack of access to culture activities. That's why we brought the Teatro
Yes.
Soho and the event that you were part of and so forth. But then obviously for me, and it's obviously for all of us who are parents, was the lack of opportunities in general for children. So obviously one of the part is obviously education. So we're trying to promote the fact that we can bring top tier education to the coast and so forth. And Universidad Alfonso X has come to Malaga, which is a great thing and so forth. So maybe that's a start. But then these kind of things as well. It's all about creating community within the teenagers, a healthy community, not everything, once again, self-centered around telephones and alcohol, which, in Marbella could maybe be that, fit that profile. And so, completely agree. Love that you brought that up. Tell us something about you that a lot of people don't know.
I'm a very mysterious person, so I don't know. Like, there's a lot of things people don't know about me, I guess. I think we talked before, but I think a lot of people knows this because I'm a big football fan, which probably all the parents on the football team of my son knows.
So the fact that your kids are on football, that's not Bob, that's yourself. That's you. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not Bob. Bob would prefer them to be cyclists. I'm more into, let's be realistic. My kid is Cristiano Ronaldo in small. That's as realistic as I am. But
come on, you're from Atlético Madrid, so that's like what, Dio Forlán, or like who other could we do?
Griezmann.
Yeah, exactly.
Alvarez,
Yeah.
We will have a lot there, Fernando Torres, of course. But I think football. I'm a big fan of football. I think another thing that usually surprises people is that I played piano. And one kind of fun fact is that I used to direct like this, a chorus of women when I was 16 years old. So I was the director of a 100 people chorus at 16. And we won a lot of prizes.
Amazing.
And they were they were housewives that wanted to do something else with their time. So I teach them how to sing classical music, and we sounded pretty well.
And that was in Naranjuez?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that was the first job. They paid me nothing, but
still.
And I had 100 moms that were, oh, la niña comes, and everything that was a bit embarrassing sometimes when some other friends were coming and they were like, eh. But at 16 you always keep.
Knowing your character, I'm sure you could cope with it. Yeah.
Yes. But I think that was my first leadership position I had, in a way.
One last question. For somebody who is interested in maybe moving into cybersecurity, what advice would you give them?
Well, I mean, I think cybersecurity is very big and it's very broad. So first, what do you want to do? You don't need to be, again, there are super experts that could require a lot of study and a lot of being very technical, and that's amazing. If you can become one of them, you're gold. Companies are going to kill for you. If not, which is the case, my case, for example, there's another sides of go-to-market type where there needs a lot of people as well. So just get familiar with how cybersecurity is moving. Learn about what are the main players, what do they do, what they don't do. Learn about, for example, I think there's a huge space on SMBs and mid-market, experts on consulting on how to help these companies, as you were saying, to build a better security stack. And that's so simple. That's in internet everywhere. Learn how to do that. Talk to some companies, advise your dad or the man in the corner, have a first experience, and then move on. So many opening jobs in cybersecurity at the moment. So many.
Cristina, I would like to thank you for your time. The fact that you came and we've spent, I think it's 1 hour and 10 minutes talking. But one thing I would like to highlight is the fact that I really value the image that you portray, the profile that you portray, especially for young girls. We're thinking about girls that can see that there is an option within a normally a male-dominated industry. And let's be honest, I think especially let's think about the south of Spain, Marbella in particular. I think you portray a role model of that you can go to the technical industries and you can succeed and you can have the character and you can grow and you can achieve basically a great life. So at least they can see that that door is open. So I really appreciate you being that and being who you are and doing what you do. It's really inspiring, and I'd like to thank you for your time.
No, thank you. I mean, I think, again, for girls and that are trying to understand what they can do in the future, my advice is like, you can do it all. You can be anything you want to be. But second, find your strengths and play them. Because in any single industry, that strengths are valuable. And I was saying, sometimes you can be in a men's world where they are all super technical and you are this creative, free spirit that just like to dance and sing. That's okay. And that's brilliant. They need you. So I think like that's kind of the thing. We don't need copies. We need people that are absolutely unique, and females come with that type of energy. Yeah, like the world is open and nothing is impossible and nothing is just a no because, oh, I studied, I don't know, art and then I cannot be on a tech company. Yes, you can.
If a little girl from Aranjuez managed,
Yes,
I think that they're going to have that. Oh, who was doing the choir training with the neighbors. Really, really cool. Cristina, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.